You know, we all get our driver's license, we pass the test, and we think, okay, I know the rules of the road. But what if I told you there's a whole layer of rules you might not even know exist? Like, did you know that in some places there's a right and a wrong side of the road to walk on? Or that the flashing yellow light on a tow truck has an actual, official name? Well, today we're going to dive into some of those lesser-known rules that just might change the way you get around.
And I'm not just talking about cars. We're going to cover the whole shebang. The rules that apply to literally everyone and everything sharing the road. We're talking pedestrians, e-scooters, cyclists, even animals. There are some surprising regulations out there that are all designed to keep us safe. So, let's get into it.
All right, first up, let's start with the folks behind the wheel. When it comes to the rules for drivers, it all really boils down to one simple idea. Minimize distractions so you can, actually focus on driving.
Okay, some of this is pretty obvious, right? We all know that messing with your phone without a hands-free device is a huge no-no. But what about wearing headphones? Yep, that's illegal too. The whole point is to keep your senses sharp and tuned into the road, which is also why having a movie playing on a screen is definitely off limits.
It's not just about what you're doing inside the car, it's also about the car itself. Things like unapproved tinted glass or a super noisy muffler can actually get you into trouble. And then there's the common sense stuff, like please don't throw things out your window or drive with your doors wide open. But here's one you might not think about. When you pull up to refuel, you're supposed to turn off your engine, all your car's electrical systems, and even your phone.
So, we've covered drivers. Now let's switch gears and talk about pedestrians. Because when you're on foot, the rules are just as important for staying safe. And believe it or not, they can change quite a bit depending on where you are.
Where you walk really matters. If you're in a town or a city, it's simple. Stick to the sidewalks. Either side is fine. But once you're on a road between towns, the rule flips. You have to walk on the left shoulder, so you're facing the oncoming traffic. The only exception? If you're walking in a group, in a wheelchair, or pushing something like a stroller, you actually need to be on the right shoulder.
Now here's a number that could literally save your life. 150 meters. If you're walking on one of those roads between towns at night, you absolutely must wear something reflective that a driver can see from 150 meters away. It's a small thing that makes a massive difference.
And then there are some places where pedestrians just plain aren't allowed. You can't just cut across the middle of a roundabout. You have to walk all the way around it. And it probably goes without saying, but you are definitely not allowed to walk on major highways. Oh, and if you were thinking about hitchhiking, think again. In many places, it's actually illegal for both the person trying to catch a ride and the driver who stops to pick them up.
Okay, from our own 2 feet, let's move on to 2 wheels. Whether you're on a powerful motorcycle or a little e-scooter, there are some very specific rules about things like helmets and lights that you absolutely need to know. For motorcycles, mopeds, and quads, the rule is really simple. You have to wear a helmet. That goes for the driver and any passengers. There are only 2 real exceptions: if your vehicle has some kind of roll cage and seatbelts, or if you have a specific medical exemption. Otherwise, helmet on.
Now for bicyclists, the rules get a little more nuanced. A helmet is required when you're riding outside of town, but you can actually take it off if it's incredibly hot or if you're struggling up a really steep hill. The big exception to that exception, if you're under 16, a helmet is mandatory all the time, no matter where you are.
And what about being seen at night? Well, the lighting rules are different depending on what you're riding. Motorcycles need their headlights on day or night. Bicycles need a white light in the front, a red one in the back, and a reflector that's visible from, you guessed it, 150 meters. And for personal mobility vehicles like e-scooters, you need that white front and red rear light or a reflector that can be seen from that same 150-meter distance.
Speaking of e-scooters and those other personal mobility vehicles, they have their own special set of rules. They are only meant to be used on city streets. That means you can't take them on highways between towns or ride them through tunnels. And remember, they're designed for one person, so no passengers allowed.
So we've talked about people on foot and people on wheels. But what about animals? I mean, it's not something you see every day, but when a herd of animals is being moved on the road, they are officially considered traffic, and there are very specific rules for the person in charge.
So get this. Animals on the road have to stick to the right shoulder or use their own designated crossings. The person guiding them, the driver if you will, has to be at least 18 years old. And just like pedestrians, animals are not allowed on major highways. At night, their guide needs to have a white light at the front, a red light at the back, and, yep, something reflective that can be seen from 150 meters away.
And now, for our final topic, let's talk about a signal that you have definitely seen a million times:
but you might not fully understand. It's a super common sight on our roads, but do you actually know its official name and what it's for?
Come on, you know the one I'm talking about. You've seen it on tow trucks, on tractors, on those wide-load escort vehicles. It's that flashing yellow, or sometimes amber, light. But what is it actually called, and what does it really mean?
It is officially called a V2 light. That's its technical name. And it's not just there to tell you to be a little careful, it has a very, very specific meaning in the traffic code.
The V2 light has one single important job, to signal that the vehicle it's on is an obstacle on the road. It's a direct, clear message to every other driver saying, hey, I'm in the way, be cautious, and go around me.
So who gets to use this V2 light? Well, the list is pretty short and specific. You'll see it on special vehicles like farm tractors, on tow trucks when they're responding to an emergency, on vehicles escorting cyclists or special transports, and on military vehicles. It's a signal that's reserved for vehicles doing a special job on the road.
And get this, there's even a backup plan. That's how important this signal is. If a vehicle's V2 light is broken or damaged, it is required to use its low-beam headlights and its four-way hazard lights instead, just to make sure everyone knows it's an obstacle.
So from knowing which side of the road to walk on to what that flashing yellow light really means, the rules of the road are full of these fascinating little details. They're all there to keep every single one of us safe, but they only really work if we know them. So after all this, the question is, which one of these rules is going to change the way you travel?